Episode 47. We've been expecting you. Stand by for mission briefing. The Gaming Lovers Podcast with Brendo and Jem.
Hello, one and all. Whether you are a professional assassin or not, we cater to all here at the Gaming Lovers Podcast. I am Brendo.
G'day, I'm Jem.
And we are the Gaming Lovers. We've been playing a lot of games this week. We love games. We like to talk about games. And that is exactly what we're here for, your weekly fix of video game-related nonsense.
Nonsense. That's about right. We should put that on the blurb instead when people look at our podcast. Video game-related nonsense.
Perfect.
I love it.
Absolutely perfect. This week we're dedicating our entire episode to a certain bald-headed icon. Not myself. Let's make that perfectly clear. Agent 47, a.k.a. Hitman. You may have heard of him, or maybe you haven't, if he's doing his job well. Anyway, this is episode 47 of the Gaming Lovers Podcast. We thought, which better episode to dedicate to our favourite assassin?
Ezio Auditore?
No. There are many in gaming history, but this is Agent 47's time to shine.
Absolutely. So we'll be touching on the best of the Hitman games, and we've even sampled the mobile games that have come out. We wanted to cover the board. Before we get there, though, gaming goals.
Gaming goals.
One day, I'm going to get a Hallelujah chorus choir to record that.
Gaming goals. Gaming goals.
It's like a wall of sound.
Perfect.
So how have you been going with gaming goals? Did we really have gaming goals after last week?
I did. I intended on mopping up the shattered remnants of my 4 in Feb initiative by beating The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past, which I have not completed.
Oh. I take back my nice work.
A little bit premature there. I did not actually play any of it because a certain other game is getting in the way, shall we say, an unexpected development. Stardew Valley.
Yes.
A game which I purchased for you to play, and it's consumed my mind.
This is a pattern, I think, with us. You make fun of certain games that I like, and then you play them, and you love them. So maybe just, accept that I have good taste in games, too.
Well, it is a farming simulator, so I don't know what that says about me as a human, because I hate anything chore-related, and yet I will gladly spend my video gaming hours planting seeds, watering the garden, chopping down trees, making friends, which again is another chore.
To some people, it certainly feels like it.
But this game has infected my brain to the degree where I woke up a few mornings ago to a lovely sound of rain on our tin roof of our house, our real-life house, and my first conscious thought was, at least I don't have to water the crops today because it's raining. Wow. Stardew Valley is a great game. Do not get me wrong. I'm not bagging the game. I'm merely bagging myself for enjoying it. I don't know how to word this. It doesn't feel like I should play this game, but I love it. And I don't know. I'm a gaming lover.
I love, after we discovered this, we're so behind the bandwagon for this. It's been out for a couple of years. But doing some digging and finding out that it was made by one guy, over the course of 4.5 years, just slowly teaching himself how to do the music and the coding and the artwork, everything, the story, all of it done by him. And it wasn't until it was ported onto for mobile gaming and other consoles that he needed a little bit of help from some other guys to help do that side of things. But to do everything else,
that's an astonishing accomplishment.
And I kind of like the fact, in his story, that he got knocked back from other jobs as a game developer, and so he just made his own, and now he is worth millions. What a great story.
There is a benefit of being the sole developer on a project, is that you get all the money.
All the bunny?
All the bunny.
Easter is around the corner. I get all the chocolate bunny I want.
I meant to say all the money.
It's all good. I'm here and I'm ready to pounce on any, slip.
Wonderful.
Oh, but I've had a lot of fun playing that too. It's pretty much been our whole week, really, in the midst of the chaos with so much going on at the moment with work and with basically helping fit out this new building and things like that. We've been very busy.
Mm-hmm.
So to have a game that's so chill and relaxing is so nice.
And that's it. I sort of go through certain phases in my gaming tastes where I love horror games, for example. I love games where you're stealthing around and the tension's high and one mistake is going to ruin everything and you feel that pressure. I love those games most of the time, but I go through phases every year or so where I just want to play a Viva Pinata or Stardew Valley or Yoshi's Woolly World. You know, just simple, childish, easy games that are just far more relaxing than my usual palette of zombies and craziness.
There is something to be said for the slow-paced games that you don't have that urgency, so you can just take it at your own pace. And you can play that game a little harder. Like, if you want to, you can set yourself goals and try to do, like, there is a lot to do in this game. It's a little almost overwhelming. And you hear stories of people that, because, like, if you've got a completionist kind of mindset, it can be overwhelming. It's daunting how much there is to do in this world. But you never run out of time. So you can slowly, like, the game, like, I think every day is about 10 minutes in real life. And so, you know, you can literally play for years and years in game and just slowly work away at everything. And or you can be plowing away at everything and achieving goals and being really ruthless. Like, I love that you can just play it however it suits you and what works best for you and the mood that you're in.
Yeah, there's always going to be players that are trying to min-max their farm to try to make the most amount of money as soon as possible, to get the best of everything as soon as possible. I'm not really leaning on that. I've looked at very little guides as far as this game because I'm enjoying discovering things. I'm like, I have no idea where to get maple syrup. And then when I figure it out, I'm like, oh, perfect. I can get it. I know how to do this now. I'm a smart farmer. Look at me. But I'm having fun. I have 3 chooks on my farm. They have traditional KFC-related names. I don't want to get into the details in case it's a violation of animal rights or anything like that, setting them up for doom.
Free the pixelated chickens.
But, you know, it's just the simple things. Every morning I wake up in that game, I collect the eggs that they've made, I feed the chickens, I put the eggs into the mayonnaise machine that I've made. I'll pick those up at the end of the day, go make some friends, go fishing, go mining, fight monsters.
Ghosts. So many things you don't expect in this game.
Random grapes on the floor and scurried around in bins for presents to give to people because I'm too cheap to spend money on myself. Be warned, if you receive a gift from me for a birthday, make sure it hasn't been found in a bin.
I don't know what to say to that.
It may be my new tactic of saving money.
Yeah. We've loved this game so much that we've even downloaded mobile versions of it now. So if one of us is playing it on the main console, we can play it on our phone or the iPad and just be sitting there and double game. So I think we're a little addicted to Stardew Valley.
That's what we get for buying it at such a bargain price. Now we've spent more on...
But even so, it's still not that much. So I'm okay with that. We've spent far more on other games that we've spent less time on. So I'm cool with that.
Now, the big question is, you're big about the romances in games, so I just wonder, is there any paramours you have an eye on in the lovely township of Stardew Valley? And no, the old man in a wheelchair is not an option because he's married.
Oh, that George. No, I don't know. I still don't know them well enough. And some of the characters that you can romance, I feel like are kind of too young for my person because the story starts off with you being burnt out at your job at this big corporation. And to me, that spells someone that's, you know, past their, like, teen years and maybe even their 20s and maybe in their 30s, closer to my age.
And then you're participating in the
And-
Easter egg hunt
Yes,
of the town with the
and-
children.
And then you're talking to kids that are still living at home with their parents. And I mean, granted, there are plenty of people my age that kind of still live at home with their parents, but also are still going to high school and talking about graduating. And I'm like, I know it's technically legal, but it feels a little, a bit of an age gap there. So I'm like trying to think of who seems like they're closer to my character's age, and they don't exactly tell you that in the game. They don't specify
And they're pixelated.
exactly.
It's hard to tell.
They don't specify. They kind of vaguely hint at it. So I'm like trying to guess. I'm thinking Elliot might be the closest to my age, or maybe the doctor. I don't know.
You love a good mustache.
Dr. Harvey. Well, hey, at least he's got a thriving career.
And he'd be bringing in the gold coins for you.
And
Let's
he
put
get
it that
maybe
way.
free medicine. So if I faint again in the mines, then, that there's that bonus too. I would assume.
Perfect.
Would he charge his own wife for fetching them and then giving them medicine to revive them the next day? I don't know.
And thankfully, we can establish that this is completely a fantasy world, because if I was personally burnt out of my job and sick and tired of it and wanted a change, I certainly would not choose something as manually laborious as
As a big
farming.
Yes, that's a lot of hard work. I mean, I do love gardening. I find veggie gardens very relaxing, but even they get frustrating after all with certain weeds just coming in and choking. It's a lot of dedicated, consistent daily work looking after gardens. So
It's a fun little detail where I do love how the characters' reaction when they arrive at the farm and see it for the first time are just like, oh, what have I done?
they're like full on freak out, like, what is this place?
This is a mess.
And they live basically in this tiny little shack that there's no bathrooms, no kitchen, it's just a room with a bed. And a TV you can't turn around. That was really funny. I was trying to rearrange the furniture in the house, as I do, because I'm like, I can't. If I can change it, I will. And the TV was facing away from everything else. I'm like, who designed this? I'm like trying to turn it so it's facing the dining table, and that so I could sit at the table and watch TV while I'm eating food. That seemed like a logical decision, instead of having the TV facing away from everything else and looking at the wall. And it won't let you spin it. It lets you spin everything else.
I love
not
how
the
much
TV.
I love how much of an issue sitting at the table and watching TV in a game that you're sitting and watching a TV while playing.
It just doesn't make sense. I'm like, why won't it let me flip this TV? And I wasn't the only person in the world to have this problem. I went online and there was like a long thread on Reddit. So many other people trying to do this and complaining about it, like lots and lots. So at least I feel like I'm not alone in that. So just little things like that. Not that it detracts from the game, but it was just like, why can't I do this? Moments. So yeah, that's been our week.
A week of farming antics. Sometimes we'll discover a game that's years old and just by stumbling across a certain article or a review or a recommendation from a friend, we discover something that many people have already been through.
Multiple times.
And, that's the beauty of this genre, of this this media, I guess, is that you can always experience something for the first time years afterwards. I mean, it's the same with movies. There are classic movies that people have never seen before. And eventually they get around to them. And like, well, why didn't I watch this earlier? This was fantastic. I really recommend Serendipity. No, I do not.
I think it's time to get into some of our favourite assassination highlights after this.
Not that I'm admitting to anything, because some of the cases may still be open.
Share the love. Like us on Facebook at facebook.com/The Gaming Lovers.
Well, it wasn't too long ago that I received an email personally from a video game developing company. And it may have just been because I'm on a mailing list because I've registered my title. But Hitman 2 is a game that is being supported with progressive updates and extra features scattered along as the days go on.
It seems to be the trend these days of drip feed, I guess, with video games, adding content as you go, DLC getting added. You know, what happened to the good old days where you could just buy a game and it was done? You know what I'm saying? Not that they really had the option to add stuff or fix things once it was, you know, in like a Nintendo 64 thing. If it was broken, it was broken.
Mm-hmm.
But it usually wasn't broken.
Yes, usually not.
No.
That is the good and the bad of this day and age, that games can be released sort of not quite finished. But if they are very polished, very excellent product to begin with, and then you get more of what you love, that's not a bad thing.
True.
And Hitman 2, again, to alleviate any confusion at the titles, Hitman 2 2018, let's clarify that, has released its roadmap of release information for March 2018. 2019. What year are we even in? No, 2019, Brendo. So that all starts this month. I've been enjoying Hitman 2, and there's still more to get to in the main game. I've beaten all the maps at least once, but there's so much more ways to do things, so many unlockables to get. I love anything that has that amount of unlockables, and not the type of unlockables that are only locked by credit cards.
Mm-hmm. So many microtransactions. Which, side note, going back to gaming goals, like playing Stardew Valley on the mobile, no microtransactions, it's just the complete game.
That's what we like to hear.
Yeah.
And you can also get the unofficial Stardew Valley guide app. Let's not forget that little gem.
All right, so what's on this roadmap?
Well, to start off, one of the best features of these newer wave of Hitman games is the elusive target, where you get one attempt to take out a target which is not highlighted by your super Hitman special vision. You have to locate them. You have to get the intel on them, on their schedules, and try to intercept them when they're vulnerable, and you get one attempt at it. If you die, if they escape, you fail, you can never do that mission. That's a lot of pressure. Remember we were talking about pressure before? That's a lot of pressure. And there is a new elusive target on the Hawke's Bay map, which is New Zealand. It's the politician. Keating. Sounds like Australian.
It does.
Dame Barbara Elizabeth Keating. And she'll be there for 10 days starting March 8th. So if you're downloading this podcast promptly, you may be able to give it a shot, which I will later this week. Now, the twist with this episode of the elusive targets is this. There is a body double of Dame Keating on the map as well. There's two of them. Which one's the real target? Which one's the fake? Now, you can, of course, kill them both, but you will lose a lot of points because one of them is completely innocent. So it's up to you on how you want to handle that. You only get one attempt, so if you want a good score, you're going to have to play it slow and steady.
Trying to analyze and figure out if there's a little quirk or a tell, I guess.
Now, as a secondary sort of challenge mode in these games, they do have a lot of mini challenges, and some of them come in challenge packs. March 14th, it's the butler who did it. Did you know that? It's the butler.
With the candlestick?
With the feather duster.
Oh, in the dining room?
It's in the castle on the Isle of Skyle. Skyle. I don't even know how that one's pronounced. S-G-A with a little dash I-L. Skyle. The Isle of Skyle. That sounds like a perfect name. Seagal. Steven Seagal. So if you can disguise yourself as the butler and complete the 6 challenges, you will unlock the most deadly weapon. It's a throwable feather duster. These sound like little things, but as a true Hitman fan, I appreciate a good feather duster.
That would be one way to kill me because I'm allergic to dust.
Another awesome feature of these recent Hitman games is featured contracts. Contracts are things where you can basically design your own missions. You choose who the target is out of all the NPCs in the map. They could be someone prominent. It could be the guy enjoying his coffee at the cafe. You choose the target. You specify which outfit to wear while you do it. You specify which weapon to use. And if you can complete it, just like Super Mario Maker, if you can complete it, you can then send it out into the wilds and let other people attempt it. And people make nice little mini stories, mini campaigns. And if your contract is creative or clever enough, the developers will highlight it as a featured contract.
Ooh.
And this month, we're having a bit of fun. Inspired by the saint known as Patrick, who is often celebrated this month, good old Saint Patrick, we're setting this month's theme as Murphy's Luck. It's open-ended and you can approach these contracts from many different angles and ways, just like any good Hitman experience. That's going to be a whole lot of fun. And on the 26th of March, a new Sniper Assassin map will be added. Sort of a sub-mission in these most recent game is one where you are a fixed sniper, very similar to a certain mobile game that Jem will fill you on in later.
Mm-hmm.
But a new Silent Assassin Sniper Assassin map. If you own the expansion pack number 1, which I do because I got the Game of the Year complete gold edition of Hitman 2. It's not Game of the Year, it's just gold. I tried to just ramble. Nobody pays attention to the details of naming anyway. 3 new targets, bodyguards, challenges. Again, if you shoot a guy with a sniper rifle at just the right angle and he's in just the right position, his body will immediately be hidden because he'll land in a bush or in a pond
Or in a
or
pool.
off a cliff or who knows where. So all new challenges for that too, and that's the sort of mission you can play solo or co-op online. Cool, cool, cool. March 28th, there is a new escalation contract coming out, and they are fun, and stressful, because that starts off, it escalates. It's a simple explanation. You start off, you have a target. You kill them, congratulations, you beat the mission. Let's go on to level 2. You now have to kill that target with a specific weapon. You've done it. Excellent. Okay, now you have to complete it again using a specific weapon, that same target, and use a specific outfit while you do it. And then we go to level 4 and level 5, and it just gets more and more complex as you go. And if you can beat it, you unlock some goodies, usually. So we're heading to Colombia, back to Colombia, to unlock an incredible golden hand cannon, a massive pistol, which would be well worth the effort. And finally, March 29. Now here is something that has made my ears prick up. Is a legacy elusive target. First season of Hitman, I jumped on board late, as you may have figured from the Stardew Valley discussion, which is 3 years old, and we have discovered it like it's a new game. I didn't jump on Hitman 1 when it launched 2-3 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And as a result, I missed a lot of the elusive targets of that game. Because they only show up for a few days, you get one shot, as we explained. So they're bringing back an elusive target that has a legacy from the Paris map. And the Black Hat is his name, and he was a fan favourite. And he has a penchant for a particular brand of fruit jam. So I don't know how that's important. Maybe I could poison some.
Maybe.
But he's coming into Hitman 2 for the first time, March 29th for 10 days. If you eliminate him, you get a tuxedo with gloves, which is quite expensive if you're buying those in store. So it's a good deal.
Especially if they're custom fitted.
So there's a lot. It's the sort of thing that it doesn't take much effort from the developers, but it ensures that gamers keep coming back to their product and keep the talk about their product. Keep the hashtags rolling about Hitman 2.
That's true.
All these months after release.
Mm-hmm. It's one of those things where I think, that is the way that gaming is going. With the way that technology is these days, it makes sense to move forward with that and to change gaming in the way that we consume it and that it's talked about, et cetera, et cetera. As much as the old part of me goes, no, I liked it the way it was before. It makes sense, and it's interesting, some of these things that they are doing do work to their advantage, and it means that if they release them almost episodically, it allows you to really sink your teeth into that one mission and try it again and again different ways, because that's really where that game shines, that series, really. So let's have a look at some of the best Hitman.
A game series I have loved for many years. I first discovered it by trying a demo of Hitman 2 Silent Assassin, which came out 2002 from my recollection. As soon as I tried this game, I fell in love with it because I was deep into an adoration of stealth gaming. Metal Gear Solid, Splinter Cell, those two things just swept me up. Thief, Tenchu, just something about games that having a different viewpoint of taking things slower, steadier, staying out of sight, eliminating targets without them noticing, always taking out someone in the toilet block. I don't know what it is about the toilet block. It makes you very vulnerable. Always be careful if you're peeing in a video game.
It's like Zombieland, isn't it? You stay away from the toilets as well.
Yes, it's an unwritten rule.
Yeah.
It leaves you too vulnerable, particularly if you're a guy and you're facing the wall. So that's
Or,
not
in
good.
Jurassic Park.
Well, there's not much he could have done about that in Jurassic Park.
Ugh. Okay, let's change the subject.
All right, there have been 7 mainline Hitman games. I've played 6 of them, so of course I'll start off by either putting the 7th last or just make it ineligible because I haven't actually played it. And that was the original, only available on PC, Hitman Codename 47. Came out in the year 2000, and it hasn't exactly aged well. And because there have been so many good entries in this series and they all sort of play the same, you're not missing too much by skipping it.
Yeah.
And that will become even more clear in a few entries' time in my checklist. The idea of Hitman actually came about because the developers were working on a shooter and thought, no, something's not right here. Let's bring the speed way down. Take it super slow. We'll put in outfits, disguises, just everything you expect from your Hitman experience these days. But the graphically, it's not impressive. The draw distance is horrible. It was in that sort of awkward early 3D gaming zone. It fits in that 5-year bracket where 3D gaming had just started.
Yes.
And games of that era do not age well.
No.
Graphically, control-wise, it's clumsy. The AI is incredibly unpredictable, which is not what you want in this style of game. Even more so when there's no mid-level saves. And if you try to sneak up on a guy and strangle him, and as soon as you push the button, he spins 180 degrees around and looks at you, and it's just ruined everything. And you can't reload a save. You have to try to survive or shoot him, or just your whole plan's gone to crap. And then you have to start from the start if you ruin it. There's a lot of things that point towards it as a maybe not worth the playtime. I might still give it a go one day because I am weird and enjoy playing entire series and seeing how games have progressed. But because I did jump on this midway, I don't feel like I would miss too much going back.
While there is some story, I don't think it's as critical as some series to carry forward, and it doesn't detract from your enjoyment of more modern games and iterations of the series to skip out on the origins. Whereas there's some series that'd be like, no, you need to start from number 1, like otherwise you're missing crucial information. But I've never felt like that for Hitman, that's ever been a necessary thing.
Now, coming in at number 6 on my list is a game that was not as well received. It was the low point of the series when it launched. Hitman Contracts, which was the 3rd release of the Hitman series, and approximately half of its 12 missions were simply remakes of the first game's levels. So the fact that they're in this game makes the first game even less important to play. Now, Hitman Contracts followed one of the highlights of the entire series, Hitman 2 Silent Assassin, which had like 22 maps. And the fact that Contracts had about 12 felt like a massive step down. The fact that if you had played Codename 47, half the levels are just retreads of that. Again, it felt like a letdown for long-term series fans. I still enjoyed it because I hadn't played that PC original, so it was the first time console players could actually experience a lot of those levels, including the very first level of any Hitman game with his waking up in a facility and going, where the heck am I? I'm in a hospital gown. I need to get out of here. And people got to experience that for the first time on consoles. Now, not the best looking game. It was an early Xbox game for me personally. It depends on what you played it on, but it's another one of those games where it doesn't feel essential because the whole point of Hitman Contracts is simply the entire game is told in flashbacks. So it doesn't actually contain much of a story of its own. It's retelling old missions and making up some other missions that fit wherever, maybe some before, maybe some after. But on a plot point, it's not that important. It didn't really evolve the gameplay much. It simply adapted a lot from Hitman 2 Silent Assassin, but there were still redeeming factors. My personal favourite map was on the English countryside in the dark on the Beldingford Manor, which featured a lovely storm, stables, giant house. There was an old man you had to assassinate. The house had secret passages, and you could drop a gasoline tank down a chimney to blow up a dude who was hanging out by the fire. There were still some classic Hitman moments, but overall Hitman Contracts not a full winner in my book. And it did contain one of the fattest video game characters I've ever seen as the Meat King. And yes, he lives up to his name. Bet you loved that one, didn't you?
Okay, so that was number 6. What is number 5 on your list?
Number 5 is a game where they tried to adjust the Hitman style to make it a little more linear, a little more action-packed, and a little more plot-based. And they're the 3 things that most classic Hitman fans would put the brakes on against. We don't like linear maps. We don't like it to be run and gun. And if you try to make it too plot-heavy, the whole point of fun in Hitman is the sandbox, open-ended thing. Hitman Absolution, I still quite enjoyed this game, but a lot of Hitman fans did not. The fact that it was more of a campaign and you went from plot point A to plot point B. Some missions you're simply on the run from people, from police, and you're not actually really assassinating anyone. You're just getting to the exit of the map. These are the things that Hitman fans were just like, no, this is not Hitman. Give me an open experimental play area to just goof around in. Let me hijack security cameras and let me open up electric wires and drop people down holes and just all the fun ways to eliminate characters. But Hitman Absolution is one of the most negatively received Hitman games, possibly the worst as far as fan reaction goes. Most series have their ups and downs. Almost every series imaginable has that one game that just didn't click with the fan base.
Yep.
This is definitely that one. Now, I enjoyed the levels that did feel like classic Hitman so much. This was the integration of those mini challenges that I always talk about when I talk about Hitman. Can you eliminate this character using a poisoned food? Yes, tick it off. And can you do it this way? Can you snipe them? Can you do this? Can you do that? Can you electrocute them? Can you push them down a hole? So many different ways, and it encourages that replayability. And my favourite level in Hitman Absolution is that to a T. The King of Chinatown, and you know if we're in Chinatown, in Chicago, there's got to be some fugu fish, right?
One thing we definitely weren't trying when we were in Japan.
No interest in actually trying fugu fish. I hear it's not actually all that nice, and the only reason people eat it is simply to
say that they've eaten it.
Claim status of saying, I've eaten fugu fish.
Is it same for like people that eat whale, I think, because it sounds disgusting when you hear people describe how like blubbery and fatty it is.
Oh.
Yeah, I know. It just makes me feel sick just even hearing it, but I'm like, it's a status thing. There's so many gross foods out there that people just say that they or will eat just to say that they've eaten it. I'm like, what is the point?
Now, one of the more interesting factors of Hitman Absolution that I enjoyed was the fact that a henchman of the big bad is played by Danny Trejo, the American actor who has a very intimidating looking face. Yes. And when you put that on an incredibly muscle-bound body in this game, the character of Sanchez that he plays is an over-the-top, almost comic book style, like, henchman. He's massive, and you can... Spoilers. No, well, maybe. I don't know. Are you playing Hitman Absolution these days? The level where you eliminate him, he's in a cage match of a, no holds barred, anything goes, and he's just killing his opposition because it's this little weedy dude and he does not stand a chance against this muscle-bound freak. But if you can find a quiet spot, pull out a sniper rifle with a silencer on it. And as soon as that little weenie opposition lands a hit and you shoot at that time, it looks to everyone else that this little dude just knocked out Danny Trejo with one shot. And getting that timing perfect is just one of those beautiful, beautiful Hitman moments that I love to death. Not my death, Danny Trejo's death.
Well, the giant version of him.
Sanchez.
See, I just know him from Spy Kids. So.
Very different thematic feelings to these two projects. Can I just say?
Really just.
So that was Hitman Absolution. From this point on, the last 4 Hitman games I have nothing but praise for. They barely make a misstep. And so we want to get all the negativity out early. I'm going to hand the floor across to Jem, and Jem is going to describe to you her time this week playing the mobile versions of the Hitman franchise games, because I don't think she enjoyed them as much as I hoped she would.
How about we give a breather and we'll start the negativity after this.
You're listening to the Gaming Lovers Podcast. Want to join the conversation? Visit thegaminglovers.com. Record your comment or question by clicking on the button on the right-hand side, and you could be featured in the next podcast.
All right, so let's get down to it. The mobile games, I'm not going to be 100% negative. I don't completely hate them. She says with that unsure inflection in her voice.
Now, just to clarify, the reason I got you to try the mobile games was simply so if they were not well received, you could not point the finger at me and say you just didn't like them because they were mobile games. So I made sure it was Jem who tried them out this time around.
Mm-hmm. Let me start off with the first game that I played, Hitman Go, which kind of feels like a Hitman version of chess in a way of making movements and timing it right so that you can outwit the AI's security guards that you can either choose to assassinate or just dodge to get through the course. And you get different bonuses. It's a very simple kind of art style, very plain, very I don't want to say bare bones, but
simplistic.
It is very simplistic. It works in its favor. One thing that frustrated me was as you move your hitman around the board is you have to drag him to each spot instead of just tapping. And that really bugged me. I'm like, I just found it, I don't know what it was, but like it felt not as responsive as I would have liked. Mm-hmm. The other thing that irritated me, like it starts off with like very easy tutorial levels. It doesn't really explain how to get a lot of bonus points through that though. But then it just throws you into the deep end once you've gotten past that. And I could not get past one of the levels, and I've tried so many different versions. Like you get given things like rocks that you can pick up, and as soon as you go onto the spot, you're holding it and you have to use it. You can't just put it down and move on. And that bugged me. There's a few different mechanics and stuff that like just were so frustrating. And I think the only reason that game would sell is because it has a Hitman skin on it. You know, it's not the best puzzle game out there, and I think there are a lot of other mobile games that fill that void, I guess, and do it a lot better. So if you're looking for a good Hitman mobile game, then I would recommend Sniper instead.
Okay.
Yes.
Hitman Go did get a spiritual successor, basically, from the Tomb Raider franchise, and you can play Lara Croft Go as well. So there you go.
There you go.
There you go.
Sniper definitely felt more like Hitman, like a mobile version of the game. You've got the same voiceover greeting you and giving you information about your targets. The only thing is you are limited to sniping, so it's just looking through a scope and taking your time, slowly observing and getting used to the AI's movements and trying to track your target, but also bonus targets as well. You get penalized if you hit civilians, all that kind of stuff that you expect from a Hitman game. There's some cheeky moments in there too. You can lure guards away. You can do all sorts of stuff, and each level you can do different ways each time. So I think it does a good job of condensing what is, a pretty big console game and having just small, kind of like bite-sized versions of a mission, You don't have all the fun of the costumes or things like that, but there is still a lot of satisfaction in, being able to do a headshot through a wall and blind hitting a target and seeing those points rack up. And as you do the mission, you build up points, you earn credits, you can unlock things as you go, get better equipment. And that's where I think potentially microtransactions can come in. I didn't play long enough to warrant that, but what I did do, I enjoyed significantly more than Hitman Go, that is for sure.
Which is kind of funny because I thought when I challenged you to do this, those perspectives would be switched.
Really?
I thought you would enjoy the slower paced, simpler gameplay of Hitman Go much more than the trying to aim a sniper rifle on a mobile device.
I don't mind those kind of puzzle games, but I feel like it could have been done so much better, and I think that it was a little lazy, honestly. Like, I feel like they are cashing in on the name, and there's a lot more that they could have done with that. Whereas Sniper, there is detail, there's good graphics, and it's responsive. It gives you the option to hold your breath before you take a shot to make sure that you can do things well, and there are stakes, there's consequences for mucking up, whereas Hitman Go, if you mucked up, you just hit refresh. You've got a couple of hints, but the hints, oh my goodness, the hints were frustratingly bad. And I didn't know if there were ways to trigger others, but I just kept hitting wall after wall of things that just weren't working. And I'm like, nah, there are other better puzzle games out there, regardless of name. So I definitely enjoyed Sniper a lot more. And I think for anyone that loves the Hitman series and likes playing mobile games and, will enjoy those mechanics, that's a good fit. So, yeah. Not all negative.
Not all negative. That's excellent. I'm glad that you actually got. I mean, you've watched me play Hitman for years. You've seen me play almost every entry in that series. Mm-hmm. But as far as actually hands-on time, I wanted to make sure that you had something to chip in. Because this is more of a Brendo episode. Sometimes they will be a gaming lovers episode. Sometimes it's more one-sided as far as who has more input. In this case, it's a Brendo.
I just remember the time we were at Movie World and you got a barcode tattoo spray painted onto the back of your neck at the time, and the lady looked at you so weird, like, they're okay, they're putting a barcode there, okay.
You know it. I got my reasons.
You were so happy with it.
Super cool. Well, shall we get back to our ranking of the Hitman games?
Yes, let's talk about the best stuff.
The best of the best. The first game that I fell in love with the series, coming in number 4 on this top 7. It doesn't sound as impressive as a top 10 or a top 5, does it?
No.
Top 7, number 4, Hitman 2. Let's just throw all the numbers out there.
Which year?
Hitman 2, Silent Assassin from 2002.
There we go.
The game that I discovered on a demo disc. The wonders of demo discs back in the day.
I miss them.
And quite possibly my favourite level in this game, the one that always comes to mind when I first play, is the first real level, Anathema, where you have to eliminate a nasty man at his little villa, and he's there practicing his golf swings on his balcony, and the physics engine... This was a time where physics engines were not completely stable. So if you brought a sniper rifle to the start of this level, this is a perfect example of a Hitman game where if you take weapons out of a map, you get to use them whenever you want. And that was beautiful. So you start this level many times later after you've got all this equipment. You have a sniper rifle. You can get on a hill right at the start. And when a guy is swinging his golf club, if you shot him at the perfect moment, he would catapult well and truly out of bounds of anyone's patrol route. And I would love doing that. Absolutely adored it. This is the game that I discovered the entire outfit, costume, His costume makes it sound like you're going to a dress-up party, but...
Well, sometimes they were ridiculous like that, you know. Some of the things I've seen you have Agent 47 running around in, I'm like, how are people not noticing this guy? He's standing out like a sore thumb. He's literally like, he'll be wearing a dress or something and a crazy hat or like a almost like an animal head thing that you'd see at a theme park. Like you just put the craziest things on this guy and you have him run around and people are just walking around like he's invisible and don't even notice this crazy guy in a dress and an animal hat.
Hiding in plain sight,
And
baby.
it's just like, what? So, yeah.
Now, Hitman 2 is a little more plot-focused than most of the games. It does carry over many, many levels, and some of them are even retreads. You'll do a level early on in St. Petersburg where you, if you want to take the way they recommend, you assassinate a target through a window while they're having a meeting. Perfect. Much later in the game, you return to St. Petersburg with an almost identical mission. And you think, well, this is strange. And... well, let's just say, it doesn't quite go the way you think it's going to go. Very cool scripting in that mission. I don't usually like the Hitman levels where they force you down a specific route purely for a plot point. This is one that I think does it well, and it was memorable enough that I want to put it on this list. So, good on you, Hitman 2, the introduction of myself to the series, and many others. I know the good brother, Mr. Steve, his first Hitman game, Hitman 2, Silent Assassin. Coming in at number 3, at the time, I didn't think there could possibly be a better Hitman game than Hitman Blood Money. A game that was absolute perfection as far as the Hitman experience. And nothing sums that up more than the level Curtains Down, set at the Opera House. Perfection. There is a rehearsal going on for a very important production, and this involves the target being tied to a pole while someone shoots a prop gun at them. Can you guess how that's going to go once Agent 47 gets involved? How would you tackle that? Just off that little...
try to find a way to make that toy gun lethal.
And you're welcome to. This is the beauty of Hitman. There are so many options. You can, while the guy who does the shooting takes a toilet break, switch a prop gun for a real gun. And then, while they're on stage rehearsing the play, someone else does the killing for you. You can knock the guy out and take his spot on the stage and play out the play. And then when it comes time to shoot the dude, no one's suspicious of you because you're supposed to do it. It's in the script. You can hide up on the balcony with a sniper rifle, and as the dude shoots his prop gun, you can shoot your real gun, nobody hears it, and the guy dies. And then they continue the play for about another minute or so until they notice the blood puddle leaking out of him and think, wait, what happened here? You can cause a fire alarm to go off, which makes everyone scatter and then drop a chandelier on them. You can do so many ways to do this one mission, and it is so memorable for me personally. There are so many different ways to do just that one mission. And all of these Hitman Blood Money missions are like that. So good. So good. And that was on the Xbox 360. And I thought that would be the pinnacle of the series. And boy, was I wrong.
Boy, howdy.
Boy, howdy. The last two on this entry, number 1, is Hitman and Hitman 2. Hitman 2016, Hitman 2 2018. But they're sort of like two seasons of the same game. So
Yeah.
I don't know how to really rank them. But I ended up settling on putting Hitman 2 at number 2 and Hitman at number 1. And there is a few reasons for that. Primarily, I mean, if you want to argue content-wise, you can have the entirety of Hitman 1 in Hitman 2 if you've owned it either on disc or digitally before, which is impressive. And since it was a PS Plus game last month, I think, you've probably already got it. So if you want to add more content to another game, Hitman 2 and Hitman 1 gel together quite well. But I just think it was the leap in design that really elevated the first Hitman remake. Wow, it's so hard to say these stupid names. Hitman 2 2018 was more of the same of what made Hitman 2016 great.
Yeah.
And so because of the innovation, I have to give credit where credit's due and bump Hitman 2016 to the top of the list.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Hitman 2 has some phenomenal missions.
Yes.
And one of my favourites in Mumbai, a mission that graphically is dark, dingy. It's the slums, it's the streets, it's the swampy factory area. It's not really that appealing, but it is an absolute blast to play through because you have 3 targets. One of them's difficult to get to because they're on a skyscraper. One of them's difficult to get to because they're in a high security facility. And the third target, you do not even know what they look like. And you have to try to find out information. And the way I did it personally was to find their favourite barbershop. And they had a booking. And I didn't know who was coming to the seat. So I had to try to figure it out. I could have done... you could have
been Sweeney Todd.
There is an achievement for giving everyone who walks up to the barbershop a good shave. Like a literal shave while you're trying to figure out who I'm supposed to be killing here. I'll just be a good barber.
Would that make you freak out if you found out that the person that had been shaving you and had a blade to your neck
was actually
was it a real assassin?
Good golly, Miss Molly, that sounds scary as. But this, there is a sort of a cheap action movie being filmed on a skyscraper with low budget special effects that you can easily sabotage in so many different ways. That's always fun. If you want to blow a guy off a roof with a giant fan by overloading the fan, go right ahead. So many different ways. There are some great missions. Miami, which is the first episode of it, is, oh my goodness, what a playground that is. And, yeah.
So what should I be watching out for in Miami?
In Miami specifically?
Yes, I need to take notes of how to be safe.
Oh, you will be visiting Miami later
Yes.
on. All right, stay away from any weapons development facilities, for starters.
Okay.
And secondarily, maybe a bit more applicable to you, stay away from any racetracks.
Okay, I think I can do that.
And if you see a giant flamingo man coming at you with a syringe, run, okay?
Well,
Because
yeah.
that could be Hitman and his mission may have gone badly.
I'll keep an eye out for Dexter as well.
Please do. Although you'll never see either of them coming, so...
Mm,
It's the beauty of Hitman. You'll be looking over your shoulder the whole time you're there.
yes.
Hitman 2's final level set on that Isle of Sigali, or Sigile, or however it's pronounced, which we tried to get through earlier. And that's the problem of an audio podcast, is that you can't just look at something and say, oh, how's that pronounced? It's a castle on a dark island with rich and famous people all having a very illegal party, let's just say it that way. Weapons are being traded. People are making cultish worships. It's all very dark and scary, and that castle is an incredible set piece. The targets are very mobile. You've got secret passages. You can disguise yourself as a suit of armour and run through in a rampage with a sword. Because of course you can, because it's Hitman.
And be like, woo, ghosts.
I did not find there to be a dull map on Hitman 2, but Hitman 2016 gets my assassination cake because you can assassinate someone with a cake. It's true, and I didn't even mean for that to be my my lovely line there until I was halfway through it and remembered suffocating a poor man on his birthday.
Aww.
Poor dude. That's the fun of Hitman, ladies and gentlemen. You are mean, but you're doing it for money, so it's okay.
And I thought you drowning someone in a toilet when they had just thrown up was bad.
Well, that can happen a fair bit in Hitman.
Yeah. Aww. Birthday cake.
From the moment I played the demo, which was free, and I got to try out on a excellently structured demonstration couple of levels, there's 2 actually, I really wanted to play this game, and it certainly lit the Hitman fire within me. No level better, I think, in this game. There are some great ones. The introduction level in Paris with the fashion show is just fantastic. You can take the stage and strut your bald head on the catwalk if you wish. And but Sapienza, an Italian coastal town, man, that is a good level. There's a large villa, of course there is. There is an underground lab attached to it, of course there is.
Mm-hmm.
But there is a beach, there is winding roads, there's cafes. You think all the buildings are just there for set pieces and they're not actually buildings. No, quite a few of them you can go in. There's apartment blocks, there's cafes, there's restaurants, there's a town mayor's office. So many things that you can enter in this building, in this town. And man, as soon as I played that for the first time, I'm like, I can't wait to redo this level in a different way. This is incredible. The fact that if you do certain challenges, you unlock certain special weapons, whether they be grenades disguised as rubber ducks or different types of syringes with sleeping agents or fish. In Hitman 2, you can unlock a fish as a weapon. There's just the beauty of it. Just the beauty.
Slap someone with a fish?
You can. There's an achievement for slapping both targets on the Miami level with a fish. You said that as a joke. The developers thought of it before you did. And so there you go.
Great minds think alike.
Another game where maybe there are some maps weaker than others, but the ones that excel, they excel. And Hitman 2016 is a supremely good game and an even better Hitman game. It gets the crown. Congratulations. We try not to shower too much praise on assassinating. No. But in this case, it's how it should be done.
Yes, that is the point of the game. I love watching like just stuff on YouTube, like seeing the highlights of people's crazy ideas as they approach things different ways. And you're like, I didn't even know you could do that.
Yep.
So it is amusing to see things come together in such unique ways.
There's just something about the gameplay overall, doesn't matter which entry in the series, but you're trying to get through like 3 waves of security to get to your target. And you'll take an outfit and it'll get you past the first wave of defenses, but then it won't get you past the second. So you have to adapt your plan. Knock someone else out, try to take their clothes, maybe find a key card, shut down the security cameras, however you got to do it. Each time you move past an obstacle, you have to adapt and try a different strategy. And when you find your targets, sometimes I will just spend half an hour just following them, watching their schedule. Oh, he lights up a cigarette awfully close to that gas canister. If I can just find a wrench, I can sabotage that. He'll take care of himself. Oh, he leans on this railing very close to a dangerous cliff. I wonder if I can sneak behind him and just push him over. There's just so many different ways, and just that stalking. I love stalking people in games. Maybe make sure that's added on to that statement.
In games, I think that is a big caveat for all of this. This is stuff that obviously we wouldn't approve of in real life.
Of course not.
It's cathartic. I think we've mentioned before about certain types of games that are just cathartic to play, having an outlet.
And just like slapping fish, Hitman does have a wonderful sense of humour as well. There is just I guarantee it will bring laughter to you if you replace someone's golf ball with an explosive golf ball and watch them do their golf training. Yeah, you will not be able to do that without laughing your head off. So thumbs up to EO or IO Interactive. I never know which way they pronounce it because they keep changing the capitalization on their title. But kudos to you for all the years that you've maintained the greatness of Hitman. Mm-hmm. And even after some separations from parent companies, they were paired with Square Enix for a while. They recently split, semi-recently, and were able to wrangle the rights of Hitman back with them, thankfully. Mm. So it's still in safe hands. I look forward to any future Hitman entries in the series. And that's my... Congratulations, 47. You have become one of my favourite video game characters, favourite video game series. Thumbs up. Please don't kill me.
It's so nice to see a series as well be pretty consistent because sometimes developers maybe get bored with what they're making and so they want to go and try something new or do the story but in a totally different way, and then it ruins it for fans that are loyal and like a specific, like when you were talking about Absolution and they went that different route, a lot of fans went, nah, this is not the game. What are you doing?
But they corrected their course and went back to what was successful, and they've polished that so darn well that it is the best it's ever been at the moment, which is perfect. That's what you want in a game series. You want it to be the best it has ever been with each new entry.
Absolutely. And it's a thing where more of the same is not a bad thing.
I could not agree with you more. I want more of this Hitman style.
Well, I think it's time to wrap up with some gaming goals.
What are we going to play this week?
Probably Stardew Valley.
Probably. I do really want, now that I've talked about Hitman, I am horribly easy to persuade to want to play something if you just talk about it for a little bit. The fact that I have just talked about Hitman for half an hour makes me really want to play Hitman, and I'm going to try and take care of that elusive target maybe tonight after work. Who knows? Maybe I'll tackle that straight away.
Unless the farm is calling. Stupid Stardew Valley.
I love it so much. Why do you have to be so fun?
I think I might try to throw in something else a little different. Well, not different, but like different from Stardew Valley.
Mm-hmm.
And try to finish Mass Effect 2 because that's been kind of on pause for a while and continued to be on pause. So like maybe I can go back to that, and that way I'm not constantly playing the same game all week. Time will tell.
Now, we did explain that I don't really mind buying old games, especially if they're on sale. But there is a new game coming out awfully soon that I might want to consider getting on launch day. Sekiro, Shadows Die Twice, coming out on the 22nd or 21st or 22nd or 23rd or somewhere around there. Somewhere in that weekend. And if I can wrap up my current projects by then, maybe I'll drop some coin on that on launch day. So that'll be incentive for me to get through The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past.
Yes.
I'll try and focus on that. I'm sort of in limbo as far as my portable gaming goes. I don't know what to play at work on my breaks when you're taking the TV. So I don't really know. I don't really know where I'm going to go with my portable gaming. I might see where the winds take me.
Or maybe we can get some votes in from listeners. You can let us know at thegaminglovers.com or hit us up on social media. Tell Brendo what to play.
Tell Brendo what to play on his portables. It can be the Switch, it can be a DS, it can be a Vita, it can even be a phone. I'll allow it. But that's pretty much it for my gaming goals. I'm keeping it loosey-goosey for now. Might lock it down a bit more next week. We'll see how we go. Just going with the flow this week. Don't always need to have a perfectly structured gaming calendar. And this week I think I'll just leave it open-ended.
Been all chill. Well, I think that's it for episode 47. Thanks for joining us again. And if you have a message for us, if you would like to make a suggestion about things you'd like to hear on this podcast, hit us up at thegaminglovers.com.
Until next time.
Bye, Nara.
Chowski.
Thanks for listening to the Gaming Lovers Podcast. For more episodes or to watch some live stream gaming, visit thegaminglovers.com.